Cool. So how you doing today?
Doing pretty good. Not the nicest weather today, but
Oh man, it's too bad my brother's not with us because he'd love the Pokemon shirt. He's a huge
yeah, I'm
Pokemon
a huge
fan.
Pokemon nerd.
Yeah, he plays Pokemon Go with his son all the time. They're huge into it.
Yeah, I saw him post something Pokemon related on Instagram. I liked it. I was like, one of me.
Yeah, I think they were opening a bunch of packs to
Yeah,
get into the trading card game. So that's totally cool, man. Yeah, they went down to California for a big event down there for Pokemon. So
where are you guys located?
we're up here in Washington, just
Washington.
north of Portland, just like
Okay.
15 minutes north of Portland. Yeah. So unfortunately, it's actually hot here today too.
Oh yeah,
That's nasty. Where are you at?
I'm in New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
On the other side.
Yeah, okay. So similar weather to us probably.
Yeah, it was really hot the last few days and humid, but today there's like a storm last night, and then the next couple days are gonna be like high 70s and kind of rainy.
Oh, it's 90s here. It's horrible.
Yeah, that's how it went yesterday.
It's nuts. I think we almost hit 100 the other day, and we're supposed to go over 100 next weekend.
Oh man.
Which is just crazy for the Pacific Northwest. We're not used to that.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it getting that hot up over there.
So
Here.
we're here with Timothy Butler on Among the Stones. So for everybody who doesn't know who you are, tell us a little about yourself.
I'm Timothy Butler, or Timmy, on all the social media platforms. I'll be 28 in a few weeks. I'm from New Jersey, and I like to lift things and do grip for fun. People probably see a lot of like my card tearing and blob stuff. That's probably what I'm the best at. But it's all just a lot of fun for me, and I like to challenge myself and test my abilities, and I just have fun with it.
Right on. What got you into grip sport?
Um, I was always like in and out of like just general strength training, and my dad and I, we used to like, we would arm wrestle, and like he has these like really thick wrists, and I have these like little skinny like little boy hands and wrists. So I was like, how can I thicken my wrists and hands somehow? And I came across the Captains of Crust Grippers, I think in like 2013, 2014, and finally December of 2015, I kept going back at them and looking at them, looking at the videos, and finally I decided December 5th, 2015 to get some. And then from there, you find the online, the forums and the community, and then you branch out to all this other stuff, and I just kind of got addicted, fell in love.
So where did you start out at? What did you close when you first got your COCs?
When I first got my COCs, I was able to close a 1.5.
Okay.
Yeah, for 2 reps. The two felt like impossible. But then you watch some setting videos and stuff like that, and it helps out a lot, because when you first touch a gripper, you don't know what the heck you're doing. You have like the worst leverages possible, and you just think like anything else, just kind of grab it and squeeze. But,
Yeah, I think I was right about a number one the first time I touched them, and I think most decently average strong dudes can close about a number one the first time they play with them.
yeah, they're tough. Like they did surprise me, because like I thought like I'd be able to get the two. I was like, oh, I'm a pretty strong guy. Like maybe I could do it, but definitely they're humbling to say the least.
Yeah, for sure. A 2.5 closer is a rare dude. Like,
Yeah,
we now look at that gripper as it's like, one we work with all the time, but I mean, you rarely find somebody out there that can close that sucker.
yeah, seriously, it's a challenge. That one, like I got tendonitis trying to train to close that one. I started.
Oh man.
Yeah, I wasn't following the work your extensors rule.
Yeah, for sure. That's huge. It's amazing. I didn't do extension or work for probably the first, I don't know, several years I was doing grippers. And when I added it in, it made a huge difference. I jumped a couple of grippers in no time.
Yeah, I think I was just so addicted to them. I was just doing them way too often without doing the extensors, and it set me back a little bit in the beginning. But it's all part of the learning curve. It's a process.
Yeah, exactly. I was into that time period when the volume training was huge. People were saying, "Oh, get your gripper out and do 100 reps with this hand, and do 100 reps with the next hand every day. Do 100 reps." And it's like, what kind of craziness is that? That's madness now, but that was the deal back, I don't know, 20 years ago. That's what people were doing.
And like I would say you could kind of get away with that, like if you're just starting out, but then once you get to like the higher, like the ones with more tension, like it's too much strain on those like on your tendons after a while. It's just not an effective way of training or a safe way.
For sure. So we got a couple fan questions that came in.
Right.
William wanted to know what kind of tips you have for vertical card tearing.
For vertical card tearing, I mean, I have some decks here.
Right.
So vertical card tearing, I'm still kind of like getting the hang of it. Like sometimes it's just not a good day, and just things just aren't feeling right. You really have to focus on this part of your fingers where there's going to be a lot of pressure right into here. I don't know if you can see that too well. So I find that the hardest part when I'm trying to tear them vertically is they'll start to slide apart very easily when I do that, when I go tear them, just because I guess the horizontal way, you have a much better kind of vice over the card, so it's easier to keep them in place. But when they're like this, it's just a lot more awkward. So I would focus on finding. You also want your finger not too far towards the center deck, because then you have less to grab onto. If you find the perfect balance of where you have your finger on the deck, where you have a good enough grip to keep it all, to keep the grip on it and keep it all together, but then still where you have enough space on this part of the deck where you can get a really good grab and tear them. But as far as like the technique, I don't know how much you want me to get into this. Because like I use my thumb pad is involved with a lot of my tearing. It's almost like a weird, like I almost kind of scoop down with my thumb pad and then pinch it as I'm pulling up. I'm really bad at explaining.
No, that makes sense. I kind of do a twist back thing when I do it. I kind of bend down and then twist back. So I kind of get what you're saying about the thumb pad helping, because that would give it more structure when you get to do the backward twist.
Yeah. It helps create that S curve.
Yep.
And so like by a thumb pad, that I push back this corner that's closer to me with the thumb pad, and then you pinch the corner that's further away from you, and that really helps.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense, actually.
Yeah. But it took me so long to really get the hang of, like I said, I'm still getting the hang of it vertically, but even horizontally, like it's frustrating, it's painful. But then you keep practicing, and you'll know when it starts to click, because you'll have a deck that you like struggled with like for minutes and minutes and minutes, or even hours, and then like all of a sudden you're just like, whoa, so are these the same cards? But it's all about that. Once that technique clicks, it becomes a lot easier. Because I think there's a lot of people out there that can do some really, really impressive tearing stuff. They have the strength for it, but they just haven't really honed in that technique. So they haven't been able to do them yet.
Absolutely. I have a buddy that can lift an inch dumbbell, and we were working with him on card tearing, and he fell into the technique just right, and a half deck basically exploded in his hands. And then he wasn't able to, hone in the technique again with the next couple tries. But that one time, it was nothing. If he would have had a full deck in his hand, it would have been the same exact thing.
Exactly. Like when it clicks, it really clicks. Everything's just perfectly lined up, and you got the curve going, so that it's not that, especially with the more beginner cards that are like not as plastic coated or whatever. They don't take that much strength, like, so like you can muscle through them with poor technique, but then once you get to the harder ones, it's like really, really difficult to do that with those, and you end up tearing your webbing, which isn't very fun.
No, I'd imagine not. I'm mostly getting the hot spots along here still, in that area.
Yeah.
I think I've gone through like maybe 5 or 6 whole decks of cheap cards, and I haven't messed with the more expensive cards yet. But I have some Mavericks sitting around and some bicycles waiting for me.
You'll get up there. It's once you get enough practice with the easier ones, like once you have that technique down, you'll probably surprise yourself the first time you pick up a deck of Mavericks. You're like, whoop, oh.
Yeah, it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was the other question someone had, was just in general, what is your card tearing technique? If there's any specific exact tips you have for that you do with your card tearing.
Pretty much just like what I explained with that I guess I shouldn't have torn that first deck, but I have so many. I buy in bulk, so I have like a box of like a couple hundred decks. um, but really, that thumb pad thing is the most important I've found. Because, well, first with your vice hand, a lot of people they kind of just think like they just want to squeeze as hard as they can. They don't really think about it. But for me, I find that this hand, the vice hand, is as important as the tearing hand, and you have to pay attention to both of them, because if you're paying too much attention on your tearing hand, then you're kind of, you let the structure of the deck kind of slide without even realizing it, and then
are you tearing with your dominant hand, or are you tearing with your?
I tear with my dominant hand.
What's that?
I tear with my dominant hand.
Okay, so do I.
Yeah,
some guys like to vice with their dominant hand. So,
you know, it's actually really difficult for me to tear a deck with the opposite way. It just feels so like foreign, and I don't have the technique down. I haven't even been able to tear through anything harder than these. I guess offhand, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I mean, really focus on keeping these cards together. You don't want them to fan out or move at all. You want them to stay as straight as possible, and you want to squeeze, but not hard enough where you see how the deck starts to bow a bit. You don't want to squeeze that hard. So you have to find that perfect balance of like keeping them together and a strong grip, but not to the point to where you start to bow the deck. And then, like I said, the thumb pad thing, I don't know if this is a good angle or not. I'm really bending this corner here down with my thumb pad, and then pinch. And after that, you're just you pull your tearing hand towards you, and I kind of twist my vice hand a bit forward at the same time. And that, you know, again, it takes a lot of practice. Like when I first started learning, I saw people doing the same technique. I watched some videos. I'm like, I'm doing it. Like, I don't know why it's not working, but it really is just practice, practice, practice. Then another tip for finishing a deck that I see a lot of people don't do. Once you get through a good amount of the deck, if you can sneak your index finger into here, then you have like a really good grip on it. You just kind of twist your wrists apart, and you'll have really good leverage. So like, unless the cards start to slide around all over and it's really, really sloppy, that's the easiest part of the tear. Once you can get your finger in there, it's pretty much a done deal if the cards have been able to stay together. But again, practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think everybody's hand's a little bit different, but you know, the more we hear technique from different people, you kind of put together this whole picture of exactly what's going on. And it's funny because it's hard to explain each element yourself. You know, everybody kind of focuses on one thing. Oh, it's really important I can see the S, or it's really important I can, you know, like you focus on the thumb pad. Some other people focus on digging their hand into the vice hand a little bit more. So it's kind of interesting to figure out, you know, the whole picture from multiple people.
Oh yeah, you've got a really good point there, because you know, everybody's hand structure is different. Like the spacing between here or whatever, the size of the palm compared to the fingers, or the thickness of your fingers, that all makes a difference with your hand positioning. So you're right. It's really one of those things. You have an idea of how to do it, and then you make little tweaks or adjustments for your own personal hand structure and just what works for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So last fan question, and it actually comes from us, Couch Potato Strong. We want to know, how are you getting so much chalk on your gloves?
A lot of chalking, and I sweat like a madman, like even when it's not hot. So like a sweaty and chalky mixture helps get that stuff on there pretty good. I've heard of people like even putting them in the freezer, and like it makes it like keep chalk better. I've heard different techniques, but for me, if like, you know, I usually like to let them like naturally get chalked, so it'll just be over time with just training. I really get some on my palms and try to dig it into there, and then spanking is a very it's a very effective technique. That's more so like after you've got some chalk on there or whatever. But for some reason, it seems to work.
Now, are yours still painted, or did you raw your blocks?
All of mine are painted except for I have one of My half 120 and half 115 hex without the handles are stripped at the top, and then I have a Blobzilla that I have never lifted that's also stripped.
Yeah, that's a monster.
But
Blobzilla.
yeah,
How
yeah, it's
close are
like
you
one
on
of
that
those
sucker?
long. I'm not sure. Like Jed has a really good Blobzilla with really good texture, and I've floated his before,
Okay.
but I've never been able to fully lift up that half. I have a half 125, which is one step below Blobzilla, and I've never been able to above my knee before. So I'm not sure. And I'm not at my strongest with those types of blobs right now. It's weird. There's different, like the legacy blobs. They have that one side that kind of bubbles out. So it's like more focused on different muscles in the hand compared to the normal blob. And at the moment, for some reason, my strength with those shapes just isn't at its best. But for normal blobs, it's up there at the moment. So I don't really know what affects those things or not. But yeah.
Yeah, the only blob we have out here is an original Fat Man, and man, let me tell you, that sucker's a challenge.
Those are challenges. I had my first blob was a half 100 legacy, and I was able to lift that one after a few tries, and then I got a next gen or second gen or whatever you want to call them, and I lifted that after maybe a week. But then for a Fat Man one, I finally got one. It took me like 2 whole years to finally lift that after the second gen. You figure, oh, it's a 50-pound blob. It's just like a little bit different, like, but it's a big difference. Those
No,
things
the
are
lift
tough.
is insane on the Fat Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my hands aren't gigantic. I only have about 7.5-inch hands, so it's going to be a bit of time before I get that off the ground. Yeah.
That will be tough. I'm lucky. Like my right hand is 7 7/8 inches, but I have a pretty big span. Like I think a little over 9 inches. It's because this, for some reason, I just have this long space between my thumb and pointer finger. So that definitely helps me with blobbing, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people don't think about it, but I think the most important measurement in grip is from your thumb to the tip of your middle finger.
Yeah, I think there's so many factors too. It's not only that, then it's like your proportions. Like some people have short fingers and really long palms. Others have, the opposite. Like there's so many different little things that'll make you just naturally better at different grip lifts. Because like I'm really good at like wider pinching, but the lift I always struggle with the most was the narrow pinching. I think because of this spacing, when I have to go narrower, it's like a lot more awkward for me to pinch on there. So it's just it's taken a lot more work for me to get that kind of pinching up compared to my wider pinch.
Yeah, I ran into the same situation. We have a 4-inch wide slug that weighs almost 70 pounds, and I can get that up without too much trouble, but I can't get up 235s. And
Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out like what's the deal. And when your thumb's almost at lockout, when it's real wide, you can put more pressure into it than when it's here.
yeah,
a big part of it. It's just to have that pressure at that skinny gap is tough, man. It requires some good, specific thumb strength stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely my I'd say my weaker point, one of my weakest points when it comes to the grip. I think that's with the wider too, like it's not really flat finger as much as your fingers are curved a bit, because my flat finger pressure isn't that good. But when it comes to like just fingertips, when I can really engage my fingertips, I tend to do better at those types of lifts.
Well, that's weird as heck, man. I can do a flat one way easier than a rounded one. It's just I guess it just depends on what where your strength is at in your hands.
Yeah.
That's wild. So what motivates you to compete?
I guess it's just a lot of fun for me, really. Like I would like to do well in competitions. There's been so many periods of time where I just haven't been at 100%, so I haven't really been able to test my abilities, but I still like to go out to them because it's also, like I said, it's just so much fun. I really like the community. So it's like every time you go to a competition, it's like you're having like a mini reunion with friends that you only see like a couple times a year or whatever. So it's just a whole lot of fun for me.
Yeah, absolutely. We love the grip community, man. I think it's the most welcoming community in sports that I've been involved with, for sure.
Yeah, I'd say that's definitely one of the factors that got me so much into it, because I'm a very like shy, kind of reserved guy. I was never on any online forums or anything like that before, and this kind of changed all of that, and I'm glad that it helped me like get out of my shell a bit.
Yeah, now you're doing Instagram posts with you in a bunny suit. I mean,
Yeah, they can't see my face, so I don't feel as scared.
yeah, there you go. Pretty wild stuff, man.
I just like to think of weird, like unique ideas, like how to make something cool, more cool, or just different. I like to say I'm a weird person, so I like to do weird things.
Hey, we're right there with you. We're looking forward to seeing what you do on the golden potato.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I've seen a lot of cool lifts on there, and people doing pull-ups and deadlifts, and I'm excited to try it. I'll probably have to do seated for the deadlift for now, at least. I'm not sure unless I get good news on Thursday about the leg, but I'm looking forward to doing the pull-ups because I've been doing a lot of those lately. A lot of pull-ups.
Yeah, for sure. We already have a seated deadlift full of over 200 pounds by Dustin McFarland. Yeah,
200.
absolutely.
It's like a
Shogun
big,
of grip. Yeah. Well, he's a monster. He's deadlifted over 700 pounds seated. He's just a total beast.
yeah. I follow him. He just does some really crazy stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. The climbers really like it because it's basically a rock material and you have to dig your fingertips into it. So, yeah.
Oh, so that's the texture of it is like a rock climbing.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, it's like a rock like texture. So, yeah, it's
That's,
definitely hard on the fingertips.
I look forward to the pain.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody thinks it's nice and cute until it rips your skin off. So, what do you consider your greatest athletic achievement?
Oof. Like as far as like lifting goes, or like,
Anything.
oh man, that's a tough one. I'm really proud of just the fitness journey that I've gone through the last couple years. 'Cause that's probably been like the most difficult, like mentally and physically on me.
Yeah.
But as far as like lifts go, like I'm mostly like into grip stuff. I've been trying to get more into conventional lifting, but I'm really proud of my I got like a 271 on Little Bighorn. It's not in
Okay.
competition, but um
That's
I don't
huge.
know.
That's a big lift on Little Bighorn. That's crazy.
Yeah, I actually ended up tearing my biceps tendon last July trying a little more. So, but I guess anything really that any kind of goal that I've really been pursuing for a long time and put the work into over time that I end up getting to, and even if it's not impressive like to like a lot of other people or whatever, as long as like if I put in the work and I really wanted to chase it, then that's probably what I'm the most proud of once I
Okay, so
achieve.
tell us about the fitness journey. I think a lot
Uh,
of people are curious about that, anyways.
yeah. Well, I've been into like strength training on and off for a while. But for like 12 years, I just always seemed to be getting some kind of injury somehow. It was from lifting or just crazy mishaps in life. So for a while, I let myself just get out of shape and just stop doing anything, stop caring. And it came to the point where like I just wasn't happy, and climbing a flight of stairs, you're out of breath. Like I was in my mid-20s. I'm like, that shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
I just decided it was time to really make a change, and I totally switched up my lifestyle. Just I can never what's the word? What's the phrase I'm looking? Walking is very underrated. That's probably been my biggest tool for getting into shape. It's just walking every day, even if it's just for a little bit. I was shocked to find out how many calories you burn from walking compared to like the most intense workout of your life. You burn more calories when you're walking.
Yep.
Just and just slowly increasing the walking each day. and counting calories. Things that see like the long-term goal, it seems so impossible, but it's just those, you just make these little tiny, like just little things that you do every day. They add up over time, and eventually you get closer to your goals.
Yeah, for sure. It's amazing what walking does for you. And we think of it as, oh, it's just a means of getting around if I don't have a car, or it's just a means of taking me here to there if I absolutely need to use it. But no, like walking is pretty much your essential core means of maintaining physicality as a human being.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think like that's what helped me start getting back into shape, and like I still do it, obviously not when I'm injured, but I think when I had a really bad lung infection last August, and I think if I hadn't started walking and making the changes when I did, I don't know if I'd be around right now. So it's crazy. Walking may have saved my life. So never underestimate the power of walking.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you've had a few injuries, but what's your greatest blunder that you've done, or silly thing that resulted in injury during lifting or anything? Or it may not have resulted in injury, maybe it was just a silly blunder.
Well, let's see. I've done a lot of stupid things over the years. But the one that comes to me off the top of my head is I tore my left biceps tendon last April of 2020. I lifted a 135-pound baby inch, and then did a bottoms up clean and press with an 80-pound kettlebell. When I was pressing it, I didn't realize, like, I was like kind of leaning, and it overstretched my arm. I completed the lift, so it was like, cool, I got it. But then, you deal with the consequences.
Yeah, those combos are tough, man.
Yeah, they are. I like, again, I just, whenever I can, my whole philosophy has been, when I can do something, I want to make it harder. So I do it, either add weight or add something else, or a different position, or I don't know what drives me to do them, but it's just, I like the excitement. I like the challenge. And yeah.
Yeah, we've been starting to do some combo stuff. We've been doing potato lifts with slug lifts at the same time, whatever, just to see what that's all about. And man, the core pressure is beyond what I expected. If this lift is different than this lift, man, you really need to stabilize your core. Otherwise, you're gonna tweak yourself really good.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, you don't even realize, especially like because they're low to the ground too, and some are like have different starting points, and it's takes some getting used to, I guess. When I first did a blob in an inch, it like really threw me off, and I almost like fell over the first time I tried it.
I can imagine that happening. One's 170 pounds and one's 50.
Yeah. Like anything, you get used to, you get used to the motion kind of, and just stabilizing your core, and one step at a time.
How long did it take you to get the inch once you got your hands on one?
Well, I actually I lifted Jed's inch the first time I touched it at my first competition in February of 2017.
Okay.
But I think just I did for a while, before I had the other grip stuff, I had fat grips, and everything I did, I would use fat grips, like rows, pull downs, like everything, just fat grips. And then I got a rolling handle a few months later, and just trained with that. So I think because of that, I was able to lift the inch on my first try.
But, Gil Goodman, he lifted it on his first try too, and he attributed it to him climbing so much to get to that point. So it's neat to find out from people that were already at a decent level what they think attributed to them lifting it their first try.
Yeah, Gil's a monster. Yeah, I had some pretty decent base grip strength. I'm not sure if it's really from lifting that much. But when I think about it, though, like my whole life growing up, I don't know why. I would always, like, a kid in school or whatever, I would hold things in a weird way. Like if I had a plate full of food, I would hold it by the edge closest to me and just hold it like this. I had textbooks. I don't know why. I'd hold them. I have no idea why, but maybe just all those years of like just carrying things in more difficult positions help. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's an innate sense in some people to just test themselves. Because I've been
I,
in martial arts since I was a little kid, and I use my foot to open doors or close gates or something while I'm holding things. And it looks as weird as ever, but I mean, why not? So yeah, I think that's just
yeah,
driven in part of us, do that, test ourselves that way.
I like to think so.
So what's your
I don't
big
regret
current
being.
goal?
Um, I my, my biggest one is just to like not get injured or sick for like at least half a year. Um, I don't really don't have. It's weird. Like I had these competitions set up. I had some goals set in mind, and then all that kind of got thrown out the window recently. So I've been kind of unsure of what exactly I want to do.
Mhm.
But I definitely want to. I want to lift Blobzilla. That's a really big one. And then I want to get really good at one arm pull ups, so then I can do them with like Little Bighorn, Rolling Thunder, and Golden Potato. Maybe, who knows?
Yeah, that'd be cool. Not many
Yeah,
people have done the Rolling Thunder one hand pull up. That'd be really impressive.
yeah. I need to get a little stronger for my pulling strength. I can get like close, but just not quite high enough. So I've been doing a bunch of pull ups, weighted pull ups, just different stuff like that.
Yeah, that'll get you up there, man. And especially when you're not 150 pounds, you definitely have to do a little more weighted pull up to get it up there for sure.
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty. I mean, it was never even the realm of possibility for me for most of my adult life. So I was always like ranging usually between like 240 and 290. But now it's like now that I'm lighter, and I guess all the grip training because you don't realize you're working those muscles when you're doing like grip deadlifts too. And I thought it'd be like years and years for me to ever get close to one arm, but then I tried it and I was like, yeah, it's not too far off. And so all those grip lifts really do help if you do them enough.
Yeah, for sure. When we started, I think I was about 240 pounds, and this was we started last March, so when the pandemic started. Then we started grip in September, and I think I'm like about 210 now, and I can do like 10 pull-ups no problem. Not one-handed, but I couldn't do a single one when I started when I was 240.
Yeah, it's a crazy how much of a difference, and it feels better in your joints too. I used to when I do a couple pull-ups when I was heavier, but like my elbows would kill me after every set, and I felt like I was doing more harm than good. So I avoided them for the most part.
Yeah, for sure. If it doesn't feel good to throw your body around, then your body's probably too big.
Yeah, that's a good rule of thumb.
I think so. So, you mentioned some lifestyle habits that you subscribe to. Are there any other lifestyle habits you have that would help someone trying to get fit at home, other than the walking and?
Um, well, other than walking and calorie counting, I guess a lot of it is just like kind of mental. Um, take it one day at a time, set little short-term goals throughout your entire journey to help you stay motivated. Like even if it's something like small and seems insignificant, it's enough to make you feel good and keep going and keep pushing, because even when you are doing really well and you've come so far, there's still all these little voices in your head that are telling you to quit or like you're not good enough or whatever. But you just have to just keep pushing. And if you slip up, just tell yourself tomorrow's a new day. And you really, in your head, you feel like the world's over, but you just set yourself back a day or whatever. It's really not the end. And you have so much to keep going for.
Yeah, I think that's huge.
It's been a challenge. That's been a challenge for me. So that's why I really try to stay mentally in tune with that.
That's really good advice. I think that's even great advice for grip, just because some of the goals seem almost out of reach. Like a lot of the achievements in grip are pretty darn elite.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. And you got to feel like you're part of the game, or you're at least playing the sport, even if you can't close a three or lift an inch or pick up a blob, because all of those things are definitely rare, if achievements. I remember when I first started, I only had grippers, and I worked up to like a 2.5, and I honestly felt bad about myself because I couldn't get a 3, because that was the measure. It was, can you get a 3? You know, you're awesome if you can get a 3. Anything below that, who cares? So, you know, it was just it's neat to see that the grip world has expanded, and there's a lot more you know, intermediate level feats and encouragement for the intermediate level guys to get up to what would be the pro level or whatever.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like, yeah, if you take a 2.5 to any like normal person, and like if you're like, what the heck, you're able, you can, this is able physically, you can physically shut this, like it's possible, like it, you know, it's, you forget how hard these things really are if you just because you're so like into the grip loop, I guess. Just like how with like Instagram and all that, you see all these people with these like amazing like top 0.001% genetics and or whatever, and like, but like in reality, like you're not seeing like the average person, and like, you know, there's so much you can do to work and make yourself better and really stand out. You shouldn't compare yourself to the things that you see like the best, because you know.
Yeah, absolutely, 100% agree on that. We're not all going to close the MM8 or whatever, you know.
I'd be happy just to hit the 3 one day.
Are you on the Mash Monster search right now?
Yeah, I did the 1, and I messed up 2 twice. Like I closed it, but I'm not good at videoing, so I have to get my revenge on that one. I'd like to get the 3 someday. That they say that's like equivalent to like a pretty stout 3.5. So that's like a good long
big jump.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest jump of all the Mash Monsters. So like 1 and 2 are pretty similar to like your average. Like, oh, the number 1 is pretty similar to your average, like number 3.
Yeah, I heard the number 1 is actually like a couple pounds below 150 from a lot of guys that have touched it.
It felt pretty easy. It's weird because they're also different types of grippers. I like the Mash Monster gripper. Like I just felt like it set so well, it feels so good in your hand. Some grippers, they just, I don't know what it is, they just don't feel right in your hand when you're setting them, or they're a little more stiff. But that one, it just felt really good. And so did the 2 actually. The 2 is probably, I would say, around a 160 RGC.
Okay.
But then the MM3 is like a 183, so it's like a whole, like, it's so much harder. That's why you see the list all of a sudden get super short after the 2. But
yeah, that's nuts, man. I'd be happy if I ever got a 2. I'd be good with that.
Hey, you could close a 3. You're not far off, man. Just
yeah, exactly.
It's weird with grippers too, because there have been times where I was stagnant in my progress for literally like years, and but I also was focused on a lot of other grip stuff too. That's the other thing. If you're not hyper focused on grippers, it can be hard to make progress. But yeah, I could be stuck for a few years on one range of RGC, and then out of nowhere, I'll just all of a sudden jump up like 10-15 pounds.
I think it's all the other stuff, honestly. I think it's you do the grippers, see where you're at, put them away for 6 months or whatever, do a ton of grip stuff, go back to them, and you're like, oh, look, I'm stronger now.
Weird. Yeah, that's probably true. And you know, once you get back to them, you just have to like kind of relearn how to do this set, because that's another thing that's very technical, setting perfectly. Yeah. But like the strength is up, and then once you get, I guess, used to the set again, you'll surprise yourself.
No different than card tearing.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, like it sounds crazy, but so I can close about number 3 gripper. I've closed in a choker 164 pounder is my best, and from just a deep set, no choker, nothing, I've done 138 pound gripper. My best on a dyno is only 154 pounds. Oh. So yeah, that's weird. Most number 3 closers squeeze 170, 180 pounds on a dyno. But the other thing is Steve Anderson, the guy that's going for the MM9, on the GM 150 dyno or whatever, he only got like 120 kilograms, so in the like 250, 260 range, which is of course, you know, way higher than the gripper he's trying to close, but nonetheless it's not astronomically higher, where there's guys that close over 150 kilograms on that dyno and they can't close a number 4.
Yeah,
so it's definitely technique.
Yeah, it takes a lot of practice. It's so weird, like a fraction of like a millimeter off, it can make a difference. Like,
Yeah, it's huge. If it sets just a tiny bit off in your hand here instead of right there, then yeah, you lose all of it.
Or if you let it slide the tiniest bit, yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very technical.
Mm-hmm.
So, have you stumbled upon any strange or unconventional training techniques that have helped you significantly improve your strength?
Like as far as like grip goes, or just in general?
In general or grip, either way.
Sorry, I'm thinking. It's a toughie. I as far as grip goes, I really like doing some like longer holds, like not till failure, but like 7 to 10 second holds.
Okay.
After like working sets with like triples or whatever. Time under tension seems to be pretty effective. Overall strength.
Yeah, I just started adding in. I never did holds before, but decided to just start adding in at the end of our last workout, where you saw my brother did a hold with the axle, and so did I. I thought that's probably going to help a lot. I see a lot of guys doing that.
Yeah, I like to do them after I get like the heavier reps in. That way, I'm just like, you're just kind of totally exhausting your muscles afterwards. And but for as far as just regular strength goes, I've really I guess not everyone can do them, but I've been really into pull-ups lately. I find they've been helping me get overall stronger. I think they've helped my grip too. I just have to be careful for my training of them, because if I do pull-ups and then do grip, then my grip's totally fried.
Yeah.
But it's all about finding the balance. Like I'm constantly tweaking my routines, either because something starts to get a little stagnant, so you switch it up, or you get an injury that you have to work around it. So I feel like it's been tough for me to really say I've had any solid routine in the last couple of years. But since throwing pull-ups into the mix, I've found I've been felt overall stronger with grip and everything.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of guys that mix it up that much that have been quite elite in the grip world over the years. I mean, there's been a lot of just really creative. I mean, Brookfield's an example of a guy that just changes his routine pretty regularly and doesn't have a set routine. And Adam Glass says he goes in the gym and does what he feels is good that day. And it's interesting how effective that is. I guess once you get in tune with your body and you have that awareness, what needs training and what doesn't.
That's very true. Yeah, after a while, you're like, all right, so this part of me is lacking, so I'll switch this up or focus a little more on that and a little less on that. And it's, I mean, even without any like outside distractions, it's always going to be you're always going to be changing things up, because the body adapts, and then you want to keep shocking your system to make more progress.
For sure. Yeah, I thought another technical thing was bending. That was really, really technical for me. It was another aspect of grip that we tried out, that if you don't have technique, you're not going to do it. Have you done much steel bending?
No, I've dabbled. Like I've done some grade 2s, some blue nails, 60Ds, but I've always been so injury prone. I've kind of been afraid to really go all in, because I feel like I'm just going to snap something in my wrist. Because
I don't think it helps grip that much more to go any higher than that, honestly. When I did the blue nails, like you said, 60Ds and square stock in the 1/4 inch, and then did some bigger 5/16 stuff. And at that point, it's almost like, yeah, your wrists have to be strong to hold it, but everything's coming from your back, and it's all bigger muscles that are engaging to do it at that point. So once I could accomplish that, I went back to the smaller stock and started doing like the vertical bends and the Heslep bends and the bends that are all wrist centric. And I think those are helpful, but that's about it. Honestly, when it comes to if you're doing a transfer from this to grip, I think that's where it's at.
Yeah, I've never thought to mess around with the easier ones like that. Man, I always like throwing new things in the mix, though. So
Yeah, I definitely don't think I'll do a lot of the huge bending because I can see where that could cause injury. And a lot of the guys that do big bends, they do wind up with,
Injuries.
hit and miss injuries like fairly regularly.
Yeah, yeah, like I have nothing but respect for them, and it's super impressive. I just feel I know, like, I feel like I would just be too vulnerable to something. And if you have the passion and drive for bending, then by all means. But I'm more into the grip, the grip stuff. I
Yeah,
really
I think
like.
you have to specialize in that because there's so much connective tissue strength that you have to have for the bending. I think that you have to really specialize in it.
I'm sure it messes with your central nervous system too.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, that's a weird fatigue.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that central nervous system is one thing I just haven't really gotten the hang of yet. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense.
I say don't mess with it too much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's there to help us out. We don't need to mess with it. Pretty technical. So if you could start your training all over again, would you do anything different? And what would you do different? And why?
I would work my extensors more.
Yeah.
I don't develop tendonitis. I would avoid doing dumb combo lifts that lead to bicep tears. um, and I guess just be more consistent, because even when I started with grip, I was still living like a very unhealthy lifestyle. I wasn't fully committed to like just health. And I feel like I could have made way more progress in my first few years of grip if I had done that, because they all go hand in hand, like just overall health and grip and strength. So if you're working on all of those aspects, I feel like you could really like make good progress and not get hurt also.
You feel
Or
like
as
your progress jumped up a lot when you got healthy? Because I know you were doing some pretty good grip lifts when you were heavier. I saw you get like a double blob lift and a couple other decent lifts. So how did that make a difference?
it made a crazy difference. Like I was always like kind of knocking the door on a lot of pretty elite grip fees, but I was just not quite there. And a few months into just being healthier and being healthier, living a healthier lifestyle helped me be more consistent with it too. I wanted to do these things more often. Like before, I'd be lazy. I'd be like, I could do it in a couple days or whatever. But within a few months, I almost every week I was knocking down 1 or 2 feats that I'd been eyeing out for years, and it really made a crazy difference. And physically and mentally, it's really, I'd recommend it to anyone who's been like on the fence. If you really want to take things to the next level, if you focus on health, it can really help affect your grip and strength gains too.
Sounds like it had a snowball effect kind of too. Like once you got going and you started making all those, achievements that you've been eyeing for years, I bet you it just motivated you to keep on that healthy track and just barrel straight forward to it.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely did. Like once and there's all there's all these like phases, like you make some newbie gains progress, and then you just feel like you're stagnant for a while and you might get unmotivated. But like little things like that, once you start to like reap the benefits of all your hard work, and that you hit a point like you'll feel like start to feel a little discouraged, and all of a sudden you'll break through this new plateau, and then you'll get all this life back into you, and you just can keep pushing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think we're kind of getting fairly close to running out of our newbie gains pretty soon. We'll see, but there's been a couple weeks where I didn't PR on my axle weight, and I'm like, oh man, I should be getting a PR every time I touch the axle. Well, probably not, but it was fun for a while.
And then they'll just start coming randomly, like that. Thankfully there's a lot of different grip disciplines out there, so like if you shoot around enough, you'll get a PR in something to keep you motivated.
Yeah, exactly. I PR'd on the penny pinch today. It's good enough.
Yeah, exactly. I found that it was actually really hard for me to progress on thick bar, in particular, compared to the other ones. That's pretty cool that you kept making so many more newbie gains. Like I think my crusher went up, my 2.5-inch crusher. I don't know if you know what that one is.
Mm-hmm.
I think it went up maybe by 25 or 30 pounds over my entire grip career, which like compared to all my other lifts is not that much. But it just for me, it's been so hard to progress on that. So I'm kind of jealous of all your axle PRs there.
Well, we I guess we cheated a little bit. We had a regular axle, a knurled axle, a 2.5-inch axle, and a 3-inch axle. So we weren't just playing on one axle. And I think the knurled axle actually helped the most. Was
it's
using
like an overload almost.
Yeah, exactly. And if it rips out of your hands, it's a lot worse. Knurled, so it like really wrecks the skin if it rips out of your hands. So there's a mental encouragement there to squeeze the heck out of that sucker.
I guess that's like when I do some of those combo lifts barefoot. I'm like, all right, can't drop these.
Yeah, exactly. If I drop these, it's all over. Yeah, it's funny because someone's mentioned like I was doing some inch lifts and I can't lift the inch without a little bit of pressure on the rear globe, but I was barefoot nonetheless. And someone was like, why don't you wear shoes when you're doing that? And I'm like, really, honestly, if I drop this on my foot, it's going to break my foot, whether I'm wearing shoes or not. So the only thing that's going to do if I'm wearing shoes is create a situation where now I have to take off a shoe and a sock just to see the damage.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like,
going up on the shoe or whatever. that's
might as well just skip that step and just smash the foot directly.
That's how I've always seen it. Like people always are like, "Oh, what about your feet?" And I'm like, "They're hundreds of pounds. What's a little bit of cloth gonna do?"
Yeah, exactly. It's not gonna help much, man. So, what's the most important piece of equipment you have in your home gym, and why?
I guess as far as overall training goes, my power rack, just because I can do like pull-ups and set up the bench on there. And I use bands for like band assisted for block weights, like for training for Blobzilla. I have like a band, so like a reverse band. So I find that that's good training because you're getting your hand to adapt to the size of it without having to bear all the weight. My favorite, I'd say my favorite like grip equipment is definitely inch dumbbells. I just feel like I get a lot of bang for my buck for those. But
that's what I've heard. As soon as you can actually lift an inch dumbbell,
exactly. I was gonna say for a while
they're doorstops tremendously better.
Unfortunately, that they're they're hard to find or that they're pricey. But if you can either get an adjustable or I have a bunch of like different baby inches.
We got 1 inch and it came in at 177. So.
Oh my goodness. Mine are 174s, but like, man, 1 pound difference with those. You'd never think a pound can make so much difference until it's an inch dumbbell.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I know there's a guy not too far from us that has 173 and a half. And my buddy just ordered one and we're interested in seeing what his comes in, but he's already lifted my 177. So if his is lighter, we're trading.
It's like a good deal to me.
It's crazy, man. That's a heck of a feat. But yeah, I've heard him coming in at close to 180 pounds a couple times. So it definitely varies, just like plates.
Yeah.
There's probably someone out there with like 164-pound inch that's lifting it, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm a monster," and then they go to pick up an inch and they can't do it.
It is crazy. Like the one that Jet has a few. The one that I lifted of his ended up being 169 pounds, so it was an one's easier one. But yeah, they definitely can be a wake-up call for those who don't know that a few pounds can make a difference.
Well, I figure if I can get that 177, then I'll be set.
Yeah, if you can get the 177, then 172, 173 should feel
then most of the other ones I come in contact with will be lighter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, chances are good.
Yeah, exactly. So I was looking at it. So, do you have any other advice for the average person at home just trying to get fit?
I guess that, I feel like I probably just repeating myself, like just stay consistent and don't let your mind get the best of you.
Yeah.
You just keep pushing because like whether or not it's yourself or someone else or what you think other people think, like just keep doing you. Just take it one day at a time. Just keep your head down. Like after enough time, you look up and see how far you really came.
Yeah, I like that, what you said about not paying attention to the guys on Instagram deadlifting 800 pounds. You know,
Yeah.
because
There's
I
always
can't.
gonna be someone online that'll make you feel like crap. So
Absolutely, there's a person's always going to be out there.
hmm
You know, this little 19-year-old that weighs 150 pounds, Mickey Mural, who's out there
Yeah.
lifting, the Denny stones side
Yeah.
by side. You're going, what are you doing, man? You know,
Yeah. There are some freaks out there.
it's really impressive stuff. So yeah, that's cool. So do you have any questions for us, Couch Potato Strong, before we let you go?
Um, I don't know if I have a question, but I really like your guys, like your vision, what you guys are doing, like, because like I was a couch potato for many years, and like I think it's so important for just people to be like more aware about just living even just a little bit healthier, like how much it can help you in so many ways, like both not just physically but also mentally and emotionally, Um, and I just like that there's things out there like what you guys do.
For sure, like you said, it's little changes. You make gradual little changes. You started walking, then you started walking more, and I'm sure your diet started changing slowly and things like that.
hmm
Yeah,
Yeah, it wasn't all overnight. It was like baby steps, and and then like before I got injured, I was a I was a morning runner. If you told me I would be a morning runner like even a year ago, I'd say you're on some kind of crazy drug or something. Like it's just as things change, as you feel better physically and mentally, you'll start to do things that surprise yourself that you never thought you'd be able to do or would want to do.
yeah, for sure. That's huge, man. Those little baby steps. A lot of people fail because they say, you know what, this is my New Year's resolution. Tomorrow I'm going to cut out fast food. I'm going to start working out. I'm going to start going to bed early and do all this stuff. And they try to do it in 1 week or whatever. And, you can't do that. You need to take
No,
little steps, make one change each day or a couple of weeks or whatever. One change, get comfortable with that change before you think about doing anything else.
exactly. Make little small goals that'll make you feel like happy with yourself along the way. So that'll just help you keep going. It's a process. They always say it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's so true.
Absolutely. Well, all right, man. It was nice chatting with you.
I like that with you too.
Right on. Well, you enjoy the rest of your day. We'll get some golden potatoes out to you, and we look forward to seeing what you can do with them. That'll be fun.
All right. It's good. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, thank you. Take care.
All right, you too.